Good morning, namaste, everyone. Welcome to Story Time with Rashmi, and welcome once again on a Tuesday morning to get connected to listen to our storyteller for today. Any guesses? I said Q was in Q, and Q is here now. So we have a very talented youngest storyteller at our platform. Let's very warmly welcome Rudrangshi Saha, an 11th grade student at DPS Navi Mumbai. She's very passionate about poetry, art, debating, writing, oration, history, and politics. She has very different ambition, unlike any youngster of this age, and she has a strong sense of purpose at this tender age, which is really, really appreciative. And we really wish all our youngsters take this, learning from her. And she aspires to be a join civil services and contribute to the society very meaningfully. That's what really, really great to know about Rudrangshi. She is committed to fostering inclusivity and championing students' empowerment, believing that true progress stems from ensuring that every voice is heard and valued. That's really correct. And that's why we are here with our ABCD cards of inclusion. And that speaks also Rudrangshi's, one of her aspirations that we should be valued. And here we are, therefore, her as a storyteller, celebrating her. And today's alphabet, any guesses, as I told you in the beginning, is Q. And Rudrangshi, I hand it over to Rudrangshi to take this forward and let us know what she has with alphabet Q for us today from ABCD of Inclusion cards. Welcome on.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. So my letter for today is Q which stands for the quest for equality. And here's an inclusion tip. We at the Spectrum Autism are on a quest for equality, a quest for inclusion, and on a quest for creating inclusive community which stands by each other. And on that note, I like to begin my story, The Glass Theory. I was 5 the first time I walked into the Mehra house. My mother Malti had just taken up work there as a house help. I tagged along, mostly because there was no one to watch me at home, and partly because, well, I was just curious. Curious about the tall gates, the golden doorbell that chimed like a temple bell, and the wide hallways that whispered secrets. Don't touch anything, Ma had warned me the moment we entered. And don't talk unless someone asks you something. So I did. I sat quietly near the kitchen doorway, legs folded under me, watching my mother sweep and mop her way around the polished marble. From my corner, I'd observe everything. The little glass vases perched on the shelves, the hum of the dishwasher, and little Aryan's toys tuned carelessly around the living room. But at lunchtime, something odd happened. Every single day. Rima Didi, the cook, would pull out a steel plate and a steel glass from a separate rack. She'd slide them across the kitchen floor to me, saying with a kind smile, "Here you go, beta." I mean, they weren't dirty or broken, just dull. Dent marked steel that looked like it belonged in our kitchen back home, not theirs. While Aryan drank orange juice from the delicate glass tumblers, I sipped water from steel. At 5, I thought nothing of it. That's just how things work. Years passed, and I started going to school, threw out of cartoons, and stopped bringing my little giraffe stuffed toy to the Mehra house. But whenever I did visit Ma at work, usually on school holidays or sick days, the same old ritual repeated. The steel plate, the steel glass, the same quiet corner. By the time I was 12, I started noticing things a little more clearly. Once I asked Srimadi, "Why don't I get the glass cup?" She looked startled for a second and then said, "I mean, nothing like that, beta. You're a kid, no? What if it falls and breaks?" That's all. She smiled. I nodded. At 15, I grew sharper. Not taller, just sharper. Sharper eyes, sharper mind, sharper questions. It was a hot May afternoon when I found myself alone in the kitchen again, waiting for Ma to finish up. I was thirsty. No one else was around. So I walked up to the shelf myself. There it was. The familiar steel glass sitting obediently on its assigned shelf like a well-trained pet. And then I saw it. Tucked behind the expensive syrups and unopened salad bowls, at the back of the upper cabinet sat the old blue glass. Aryan used to drink from it, slightly chipped on one side, but intact. I reached for it. My fingers wrapped around it slowly, like they were committing a crime. Just as I poured water into it, a voice came from the hallway. You know you're not supposed to do that, don't you? It was Mr. Mehra, Aryan's father. Tall, balding, and always smelling like mint and aftershave. I froze. It's just glass, I replied, steadying my voice. He raised his eyebrows. Yes, but it's kept for... It's just different. Different? I asked, staring at him. Because it's glass or because it's me? He didn't answer. And in that silence, everything became loud. That evening, Ma didn't ask me what happened. All I knew was she was not being called to the Mera house anytime soon. But Ma didn't seem to mind. As we sat for dinner at home, she poured our water not in glass tumblers like we always used, but into two new glass cups. Cheap ones, but from the local market. However, glass nonetheless. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me, and I knew. And I still have that glass today. Not to drink from, but to remember. To remember that inequality doesn't always scream. Sometimes it waits in silent corners, in routine habits, in gestures so small to miss them. Until one day, you don't. And that was the day I took my first sip of equality. Not because someone offered it to me, but because I dared to pour it myself. And yet, we'll still hear some people say it's just a glass. But that's exactly where it begins, doesn't it? We tend to think inequality is about some grand events, headlines, protests, policies, but often it hides in the casual, in the separate utensils for the house help, in the silence around the dining table, in the hesitation to question. These aren't just small habits, they are symptoms of something malicious, internalized inequality, where discrimination no longer needs to be shouted because we've all been trained so well to whisper it, to accept it, to pass it on. Even today, in our modern urban spaces, caste-based crimes aren't fading, they are just morphing. In urban cities like Bangalore, there's been a 73% rise in crimes against Dalits, and women remain the most vulnerable, facing double the marginalization for being both lower caste and a woman. And still, people scoff at reservation policies and upliftment programs, calling them outdated, pandering, and whatnot, saying there's no inequality around us anymore. That's not fact. That's privilege talking. Because when you're not the one drinking from the steel glass in a corner, it's easy to pretend that all glasses are the same. But at the end of the day, they're not. And unless we start seeing the difference, we'll never be able to change it. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a wonderful story, short, sweet, and apt message. Before I go on asking you a couple of questions, our friends who are watching you live, Nina Auntie says, it's wonderful to hear you. And a child observes
Thank
everything
you so
so closely, she says. Then she says, you have a beautiful narration. And also, she has mentioned, yes, one has to be daring to do, what you narrated in the story. Respect everyone equally, she says. Purnima Amma says, lovely narration. Shivali Auntie says, beautifully pointed out the facts, Rudrangshi. More power to your voice. Nina says, very observant, Rudrangshi. And Purnimama says, you have a real powerful voice to bring about this message, and very beautifully done. It's a very powerful message. So we are so proud of you. And to our viewers, let me tell you that this story has been written by Rudrangshi herself. And I will ask her a few questions like, So what made you, come up with story and narrate it for us today?
Thank you so much for your question, ma'am. So first and foremost, I was really intrigued by the topics which were being presented, and the whole initiative as a whole. So when I saw the topic Quest for Equality, it really spoke out to me because I am someone who has a lot to say about a lot of things. So I believe this would be a perfect way to channel my thoughts and also voice an opinion which I believe needs to be said out loud.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
and very beautifully, this is you've brought out that equality should begin at the the very sensitive level. We talk it when it should be headlines, we talk it at forums, but what about in our own houses? Yes, we believe in bigger things, but not where it can be implemented in one. And I think it's I think all the viewers who's going to listen to it, I would call it the harshest reality. And I might not want to, it's like self look in and find out, are we, with the value of equality and inclusion, that quest for equality? And I think it really, really brings out the true essence of the alphabet, which we have, the story done with today. So, the next question, you wrote the story only when you got to know of this drive, or was it there with you already?
No, no, I wrote it when I saw the drive.
Wow, wonderful. So we will have you lot more many time coming and speaking your mind, because I think you really, represent the youth who are going to take up this message very strongly, and we really, all of us really believe in the power of being heard, and beautifully you have narrated. So I would request you to raise that card once more. So for viewers, you would see that Rudrangshi has the new version of our ABCD cards of inclusion, and I have the older version, but nevertheless, the tip remains the same, the value remains the same. And with this beautiful story which has been narrated today, let's delve into our own deeper self and see how we are actually creating equality in our daily lives. Or is it that we are just talking, you know, over, or is it talk the walk also? So very beautifully, highlighted. And we really wish all you a very, very successful career ahead. And whatever you aspire for, maybe you get all of that. So everybody is saying they're really, really proud of you. And I must congratulate your parents for, raising you so well with this knowledge. And Nina, auntie says, very few people dare to talk this truth, and you have indeed spoken one. God bless you and more power to you, is what Nina Auntie says. Nina Auntie is our story Auntie Nina. So we will be seeing her next week on the platform. Wonderfully done. And stay tuned. Wishing you all the very best from all of us. You'll be able to see more comments as people watch your story. Do spread this awareness. Thank you so much joining in our drive. Have a wonderful day, Rudrangshi. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned for next alphabet with Story Auntie Nina next week. Bye bye. Until then, a good day to everybody. Bye bye.